I'm recording.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike.
And I'm Micah.
And this is the Sound Good Podcast, a show where we recommend each other albums that we think the other would like, pay attention to some new releases that we think we both would like, and then we each give a little talk about what album we recommended to each other and see how the other person likes it. Today's episode is going to be actually a little special. It's only the second episode, but I mean, it's going to be a continuing trend of new releases. Whenever there's a new release that comes out that both Micah and myself are particularly interested in, we're thinking about just, taking that and just turning that into a whole episode. Today's album is going to be the new Tancred record that actually just came out last Friday, the 1st of June, on Polyvinyl and Hand in Hive Records, I believe was the other one that it came out on. But now it is Tancred's newest record, Nightstand. And for those unfamiliar with Tancred is the solo project of former Now guitarist Jess Abbott. And I have not stopped listening to this album since it came out. So I will clearly have a lot of things to say about it. Micah will have some things to say about it, hopefully. I know he hasn't listened to it as much as I have yet.
Yeah. I've been withholding some things so we can discuss it.
And it also doesn't help that I got that early bird vinyl, so I had it a full week before it even came out. So I've got a little more of a grasp on the album. So my opinions will be more founded in having listened to it for a week, 2 weeks, as opposed to only getting a week or so. So it'll be a nice little comparison between our viewpoints and how we view the album.
Yeah, I'll say that I literally had about 17 hours to listen to it. So between it dropping and us talking about this now. But can you, I don't know, maybe to start off, do you want to talk about the package that you got
sure.
A little bit? Since you got the early bird. I'm assuming that it's like pretty deluxe.
So what Polyvinyl Records did was they put out an early bird version of Nightstand that was pressed on 180 gram. What was it? It was black, gray, and white starburst.
Thick.
Nah, it looks pretty nice. It's a really nice looking vinyl. But the early bird package came with. I think it came with that special vinyl because I think if you were to order it now, if you were to pick it up now, it would just be a lime green. I think it is. It's a lime or neon green.
Mm-hmm.
And the early bird run was limited to 500, and along with getting that 1 of 500 press, you got the album a week early. At least I'm assuming that was part of it, because I've never gotten a pre-order that early.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a couple other people on Twitter talking about it already. So I mean, I'm assuming that was part of it. If it's not part of it, if that wasn't part of it, then I'm wrong. And FedEx or USPS, whoever they shipped it through, whoever Polyvinyl shipped through,
messed up.
Not messed up. They just absolutely did the best thing they possibly could have.
They fingered through your mail and they listened to it and they were like, I got to get this to this guy quick. It's super good.
They probably just went, oh man, this address again. Well, this dude orders a ton of vinyl.
I want to say the only time I've experienced that is we were talking about it just together a little before we started recording. Like I pre-ordered the most recent. This is very off topic. I pre-ordered the most recent Job for a Cowboy album, and they sent that to me like 2 weeks early. I want to say it was on purpose because it was just too glaring, But
like
it's
2
nice
weeks
when bands
is
do
pretty
that.
early.
You feel special.
Yeah, right.
And you had a handwritten note. with
Well,
this.
it's not handwritten. It's just a.
She has very good handwriting. It looks like it was typed.
No, it's totally typed. But yeah, no, with that early bird thing, getting back to that, not only did it have the special 180 gram pressing, but it also came with a cassette of the album, and it is a completely acoustic version of the album that I have yet to listen to because I do not own a working tape player. So I just have this acoustic version of the album that I have not listened to yet, and I am dying to listen to now after I have heard the actual album. I am foaming at the mouth to find a tape recorder.
Did
so
you used to have one?
this.
Because I know that you were you were very willing to pick up cassettes. No,
I honestly just like the little cassette.
but
like
just
having it.
because of the, I don't know. Eventually, did the practicality catch up with you? Because I know you've been kind of like, at least at the Pianos Become the Teeth show, like you were very not willing to get a cassette.
Yeah, the practicality was definitely part of it. I can't justify. I have like 7 or 8 cassettes and no way to listen to them. So, but I mean, some of this stuff, it's the only way I could get it. Like, like I have like one of the cassettes is Merchant Ship's only album from I think 2011 called For Cameron, and I mean the only reason I have that one is because I bought it, straight from Jackson F. Off of Instagram when he was getting rid of a bunch of stuff to fund his wedding and all that. But I mean that's the only reason I have that one. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Cassettes are they kind of, I have no way to listen to them. I would love to listen to them, and I would love to hear this acoustic version. And maybe if I can get my Tascam little tape recorder thing to work again, I'll put out some thoughts about that.
Yeah, looking at it, it appears that everything that you got with your early bird package is still essentially available to anyone who wants it after you listen to this and you decide to check out the album and you want to get it or something. Everything that, so the digital CD, the CD physically, the postcard that's typed, signed by the singer, and the cassette tape is all available still to purchase. The only difference is that you do not have access to the like gray and black splatter kind of marble design.
So
you only get the lime green design, which honestly the lime green, it looks super cool because it's really worth mentioning. Like, this artwork looks super fucking good.
Yeah, the artwork for Nightstand is very good. It's just,
I had never heard. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. If no one's currently looking at the album art, just to describe it, so we're not vaguely just talking about it, the album art is really, it's really interesting, and it makes a lot of sense actually with like the tone of the album. But it's a black background, and then it's just Jess standing. Yeah, it's Jess. It's just Jess standing in front of the black background in a white long sleeve button up with black suspenders. Her hair is kind of over her face, and it's a really moody looking album cover, and it fits the tone of the album really well, and it gives you a good, this is one of those albums you could look at the art and go, okay, I think I know what this album sounds like.
I don't know.
I think so.
I didn't feel that, honestly. I felt like when we get into it, like between the art and the very first track, like I was blown. Like I was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was very unexpected how the second, like, Queen of New York sounded. I was not expecting that sound, actually.
Yeah. So do we want to just like, is there anything else we can really talk about the vinyl wise, or I can put a link to the picture of the little card and the note that was written inside of it, because the note inside of it is actually really it's really nice to like read it and understand what the album is about, because the album does have a very coherent sound, in my opinion. Like once you get past the first song, the opening track, song 1, I feel like after that point, it has a very coherent sound. Like every song sounds like it belongs on this album. Song 1 is a really weird opener, but I really enjoy it also. So like, we'll talk about more like that when we get straight into the tracks. But yeah, the little forward, the little postcard. It's got a nice little picture on the back of it. It's got a lamp on top of what I'm assuming is a nightstand, and there's a bunch of little items on it. And the card is basically just Jess describing how she wrote the album, saying that when she was writing them and writing the songs and looking at them all together, it just felt like a bunch of odds and ends and trinkets that could fit into a little jewelry box. And then she started to think about how nightstands tend to carry a bunch of little items that are important to us and are varied: a glass of water, a lighter, mail, a necklace, books, a journal. And then she mentions how a lot of the songs have romantic experiences. They are about romantic experiences, and that's very obvious in a lot of them. And the image of a nightstand can bring you to that intimate place too, she says. So that's a really cool little guide almost to understanding.
Yeah, it's context for the album.
Yeah, it's context for the album. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much everything aside from the music that to talk about.
Yeah, we can link the Polyvinyl Records
oh yeah, we'll put
store
we'll put
that
a link
you
to
can
the store
check
page
out
and everything.
Because you have a lot of options for whether because you can't get everything.
Yeah,
No, you can bundle it all. Forgot.
Yeah, you can get all that stuff together, but you just won't get the.
But you do have individual options.
The Starburst, yeah, and that's the only that'll be the only difference. You can get. I'm pretty sure you can get everything I just mentioned, aside from the Starburst vinyl. Obviously, it'll just be that clear green one.
Because you weren't an early bird.
It's still on 180 gram though, so I mean it's still a pretty high quality record.
Sat by the window, watching the birds go, watching the people walk. I knew I loved her.
So yeah, we can get started.
So yeah, let's start off with song 1. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first, or?
So, yeah, I guess so. So you have listened to Tancred before, prior to this, right?
Oh yes, I saw them back in 2016, actually, too. So.
Yeah, I mentioned this to you in the past. It's kind of super cool that in the previous episode for the band Mess that we talked about, they have actually opened for Tancred before. So it's just a nice little coincidence.
Little, little random little coincidence.
Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know, all those emos stay together.
Come on, man.
That sounded derogatory. I apologize.
Yeah, whatever, man.
So,
professors, dude.
Does this album as a whole kind of sound similar to what she's done in the past for Tancred?
Actually,
is it very different?
It's not very different. It's still kind of the same like form where it's really rocky, kind of groovy, jammy, driving beats like. All of Tancred's music, in my opinion, sounds very. You can jam to it, like some of it you can jam more than others. It's just I don't know. They're really consistent in their sound. This album does sound quite a bit like their self-titled from 2013, for example.
Okay.
I felt comparisons at least with like the tracks off that album, Thicker Than Blood, compared to like Queen of New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just in terms of sound, not necessarily lyrical tone or anything, but lyrical tone, this is definitely more focused than other albums, though. So I will say that having listened to Tancred before, I came into this album expecting more of the same, and was not only given it, but also given more than just more of the same, which is perfect.
Yeah, because right off the bat with the first song, after you listen to the whole thing, it's kind of interesting that the very first song is super different from what the entire album is.
Yeah. So so let's start talking about the track by track then. So song 1, this is only a 34-minute long album, 11 songs. and song 1 is just over a minute and a half long.
It's a very eerie song, I would say.
Yeah, really, really spacious, and I got the feeling of now I could be the only one, but I got the feeling like if you slowed this down a little bit, like if you dragged this song out a little bit, if you just like, I don't know what like tempo it's at, but if you slowed the tempo down just a little bit, just slowed the entire song down just a tiny bit, like it reminded me a lot of like earlier like BioShock atmosphere, kind of like, you know, the game BioShock.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just very floaty.
Yeah, very dreamy, very wispy, it's a very ethereal sounding track.
A point that just kind of came to my mind as I thought about like the lyrics and everything, and how we were talking about how the whole album feels really cohesive in the sense that it's like, when you look at all the songs together, like they are kind of trying to drive home a very like similar points, I guess. This first song, it kind of feels like it's directly Jess as like kind of a narrator sitting you down and saying like, I'm gonna tell you like a kind of story, and it's all like, that's why like the lyrics are, I will not lie to you.
It's got a very introductory sound to it. I never even thought of that before. It does kind of sound, it does have a very narratory
all
narrative.
These words will be true is what the lyrics are, I want to say.
I got them right here. Like the first two lines are, I will not lie to you, these words will be true.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like she's telling the listener, like, I'm gonna tell you, like, these are actual stories. And, that's a neat way to start it out.
Man, I've had this album for 2 weeks now, and I didn't even think of that. That's really good. That's actually, that's a good point.
That's why, totally, and that might be why it's so different too.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense now.
Because maybe it's a little more present or something. That's why it's like kind of ethereal or something, because it's like she's stepping out from the album to say like, here's what's up.
Right. And like you said earlier, it's such a big change from Queen of New York, because you go from this very wispy, very ethereal, dreamy track to suddenly like
what you would
really
expect,
rocky guitar intros, you know, and then the lyrics on this song on Queen of New York. Do you have anything else to say about song 1 before we move on to Queen of New York?
So we'll get to it towards the end. I actually just had this thought as we were looking at the track names. So you're gonna hate this. Song 10 or track 10, Reviews. You know how it has like very compressy drums, I guess, kind of in the intro. When I listened to it, I realized, this sounds a lot like a late 2000s or mid 2000s song called Song 2 by Blur. And just the fact that there's a song on this called Song 1, and then there's a song that sounds like a song called Song 2, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Man, you're stretching for those references, dude.
No, but like the rhythm and everything, if you went back and listened to the song I'm talking about, like you would hear it for sure.
I'm sure. I have no idea. I'm just giving you crap.
I am stretching also. But no, there's a lot of like it feels like mid 2000s inspired. But we can get right into Queen.
Very
indie. Make my way down the elevator and hit the street in the morning sun. Gonna join the ranks of people with no sleep and last.
So Queen of New York is actually like it's actually the second song and also the second single off the album. With Reviews being the first, but also like one of the last tracks. So you don't really, it was the first song you heard on the album, but it's also one of the last you hear of the album. So I don't know if that was done on purpose, or if they just thought Reviews, if the band or the label just thought Reviews was a good gauge for what the album is going to sound like, as a first single and all that. But I just, that was a little something I noticed. But yeah, Queen of New York starts off with this, little guitar riff, and then the whole song is just like, the whole song is very rocky, very. You can as she said in the preface, that little postcard, you can definitely feel the romantic feelings in this song, as you can with like every song on this album. But this one seems like it's more of like not a first love, but like definitely like one of those things where it's like it's one of those relationships where it's like, oh, you personally definitely think this person is the one, like, because there's nothing in the lyrics that are very diminutive of the subject being talked about. It's all very uplifting. Like, it's all very, you know, like, you are a strange one, you are the queen of New York, you like to have fun, make a joke, and I'm done for. You know, that's a very I'm so in love with you, you know, nothing else matters, all you have to do is, you know, make a joke and you've got me.
Yeah, and I don't know, it feels like it's very, it just feels really sweet, because it seems like it's, like, obviously, like you said, it's not like she's overtly saying the words like love and going into major detail with that, but
she does say lust, though. She does say lust at one point. So that's just
I was gonna say, it just kind of feels like it's a love song, because it looks like she's just admiring everything about a person that she's really into.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that was a good word for it too. Sweet. The song feels very sweet.
She's just pointing out a ton of things that she just loves about a person.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's got like, I really liked the ending of this song too. Just the really like quiet ending to it. I felt like it was the ending was really good to lead into the next song, Apple Tree Girl. Which, do you have anything else to say about Queen of New York? Because I pretty much said all I can really want to say about it.
Yeah, I would say this is going to be maybe a nitpick on my part that pops up a lot throughout the album. This is where me saying that I withheld a lot of points maybe so far. I like the melodies a lot. I just don't know if I like the guitar tone a lot of the time.
The guitar tone?
So, like, the main riff that the chords in Queen of New York have, I don't necessarily, just personal preference of mine, I don't know if I prefer, like, the soft guitar tone that she's using. I wish that it was maybe something a little punchier, but that's just more of a personal, obviously.
Very little nitpicky thing.
Yeah, it's not like it's something that's wrong. It's like, it's if she was writing the album for me, why would you do that?
Yeah, right.
I deserve nothing. No, I mean, yeah, you should always write music the way you want, and like, I really appreciate what she has. Yeah, no, and I love the very poppy feeling of the vocals and stuff. It's like, it has like that kind of, like, there's just like a pop punky vibe to it that I really enjoy.
Sat in the kitchen, snow in the woods. Drink my heart out, drink it up good.
So Apple Tree Girl, probably my favorite song on the album. Starts off with a little acoustic riff. A very, very indie sounding compared to Queen of New York. Whereas Queen of New York was pretty like rocky compared to Apple Tree Girl, which actually reminded me a lot of the tone of the song Apple Tree Girl. Actually, the beginning of it reminded me a lot of this group called the Weepies.
Okay.
Which they're just a little acoustic folk project, I guess, kind of. But just the beginning of this song really reminded me of the Weepies, and like, I dig the Weepies. I dig the sound and the tone of voice she was using and everything for the whole weaving a dream while you play a piano, you know, loose change and cocaine, Apple Tree Girl. Like, all that stuff was just like, the way she worded it, the melodies really flowed. I thought it was a really cool start to the song. And then the strings, man, have you noticed like so much of like the orchestration on this album?
Yeah, I was gonna comment, like, I really enjoy I liked this song a lot more than Queen of New York personally, and I know, like you said, that this one is maybe more of your favorite. So in terms of the orchestration, like, what exactly do you mean, just so I know that, like, what
like the looks like the use of strings, like in song 1, the use of the strings for like the swells, in this song the use of the strings at the beginning the acoustic.
Um,
I think there was some strings in Rowing. I mean, there's just I was hearing orchestra, like, orchestral instruments, stringed instruments, just throughout the album, and it was I thought they fit really well. So
yeah, I definitely overall all of the melodies were always fantastic. Like
really catchy.
we've talked about before how a lot of the time for like, I guess, kind of backgroundy stuff, if it's super good, you don't notice. And I think I was just super into all of the songs, so they didn't necessarily like stand out a ton. But yeah, no, looking back, like, yeah, it's because they fit it so well and they were really good.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I wanted to double check like what you meant, because I was getting ready to go into how for like Apple Tree Girl, I really enjoyed like the initial verses and some of the end where just when you do those kind of vocals that again are like kind of poppy and there's like kind of following the beat of the drums a little bit, just kind of going forward, I guess is, I'm hoping I'm describing that properly. Do you kind of know it, like just like those initial verses in Apple Tree Girl, just what I'm trying to describe with those are my jam when it comes to this style of music.
Like how again? Like what do you mean? Like I guess I don't really understand. Because you're talking about like just the way the lyrics are sung, or
yeah, just the
like the melodies and the pitch and the tone and everything, or
yeah, the like the cadence of them, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, like I know what you mean now. Like like the little, like the feel of them, like the little beat with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I mean. Like when it comes to like anything that's vaguely, like, I guess kind of poppy like that, like I really enjoy it.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this track is like, I love the chorus, or what I assume is the chorus. I'm assuming the lines, "With a smile you say the world is doomed. If it's true, then let me hold you. Kiss me like I'm a soldier. Kiss me like we'll never get older." I'm assuming that's the chorus, and that's only because I see it 3 times in this lyrics I'm looking at.
Sure.
So I really like that chorus. It makes this song really feel more like it's about trying to save a relationship almost. Because with the line, "With a smile you say the world is doomed," it kind of seems like one person has a very negative outlook on the world, and then with the reply lines to that, "If it's true, then let me hold you. Kiss me like I'm a soldier. Kiss me like we'll never get older." It's basically like, it sounds like one person trying to console the other person in a relationship, and that one person is like like in a negative state of mind and like thinking that nothing, the world is, not worth it. And then the other person's like, well, okay, well, if you think like that, then, then why not spend it with me? It's like, it's kind of like one of those things. This is what I kind of feel it's kind of like, especially with the "Kiss me like we'll never get older." It's like, it's kind of, it's one of those, well, if you think the world's going to end, then
fuck it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Then why don't we just, do whatever? Is what that whole song sounds like, and it's really cool because they fit these, like, or she puts these topics like this kind of almost feels like it's about maybe depression or anxiety, maybe even just because off of the whole person thinking the world is doomed or something. But then puts it in like you said, like a very poppy melody, very poppy indie folk song pretty much.
Yeah, like it's putting certain, like, it's a very romantic album, but then there are a lot of undertones of perhaps kind of
more than we know
or like kind of maybe just slightly, ever so slightly darker ideas, I guess. But yeah, she always not masks it, but surrounds it with melodies that are very uplifting. So It was interesting that you brought that up, because if you go to either like the Bandcamp or the Polyvinyl Records, there's a huge, like, giant paragraph discussing the album with a lot of quotes from her. And she mentioned that recently, while writing it, she just eventually became comfortable in who she was and being her true self and stuff, but apparently she also experienced a lot of loneliness from that. So there is this dichotomy of kind of happiness but also loneliness that she is actually getting across pretty well between the lyrics and the melodies that are written.
Yeah, totally. No, she does a really good job with the songwriting and everything, so I feel it. Hell yeah.
You're a hot star falling to me, a shimmer I just can't reach. Kissed you once, but that's a memory. The card reader says you're gonna marry.
All right, we'll move on to the next one, Hot Star. I don't really have anything special to say about this song. I liked it, but it's definitely one of the songs where it's like, if I had to pick between Hot Star and any other song on the album, I would probably pick any other song on the album.
Yeah, like, that's fair.
It's good. Like, it's really good. It's still good because I love this album. It's not a bad song. It's just one of the least memorable ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, it just kind of feels like a nice summer song that would play in the background of like a social gathering or something. I
like the very like bouncy part. It's like 40 seconds in with the if I found the key to you, that line, that whole part. I dig that jam a lot, and then the afterwards in the guitars, like it's just a very summery, like you said, it's a very it's a very floaty song. And again, it's another song about about a relationship and all that. I do think that this song though is about a destructive relationship.
That's
especially as if it's not obvious with the "You're killing me and I'm ready to go" lyrics. In the opener, "You're a hot star burning to me, my favorite drug IOD."
Yeah.
Like,
or just the end, like, "You're killing me and I'm ready to go." Like,
yeah, right. The grave
digger
I love
says
you. That you're killing me.
I acknowledge, like, she's aware that maybe it's a toxic relationship or something, but it's like, I love you though. Yep.
Yep. Okay, that's all I got to say about that one. So.
And yeah, I mean, that's a very real thing, but yeah, overall the song is, it's nice to listen to, but you won't.
It's just there.
You won't necessarily think of Nightstand, Hot Star.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, in the future when I inevitably come back to this album and just want to listen to some songs off of this album, not the whole thing. Because, everybody does that. You come back to an album a couple years or months later and you're like, oh, I remember this song and this song. So I just don't see Hot Star as being one of those ones. I'll come back to this album and I'll be like, oh yeah, Apple Tree Girl, or oh yeah, Clipping, or Underwear,
But at the same time, that's one of those things where you don't remember it.
Yeah, and it's like...
And it's like you don't remember it, and you go back to one of your favorite band's past albums, and you get to that, and you're like, I don't remember this. This is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have that nice experience, but overall, it's not one of the standout tracks.
It's not pickable, but it's also not skippable.
Story of my life.
Yeah, there you go.
Picture someone else framed and lit up like a wake. Felt like it was me who died that day.
So yeah, we can go on to
what the ladies say.
Clipping, which, again, I know I said Apple Tree Girl was my favorite song, but this was my first favorite song.
I like this song more than Apple Tree Girl personally.
Yeah, this I think what actually made me like this song a lot more than any of the other ones was how long it is. It's the only one that is like almost 4 minutes long. Like it's the longest song on the album. It's 3 minutes and 58 seconds. And when every other song on the album is like 3.5 minutes or less, like you don't realize how much that extra 30 seconds sound like really does. Like you don't realize how much that 30 seconds actually does, like to add onto the song. Yeah, no, I love this song all the way from start to finish with the I'm a loser sometimes, I will lose my mind sometimes, another year inside my eyes, clipping in the atmosphere I lose sometimes is the chorus. The chorus is very, very atmospheric, and just every time this song comes on, I just feel like I'm floating. Like I can just close my eyes and just in a cloud. Like that's the feeling this song gives me, is just literally clipping in the atmosphere.
Yeah, this is absolutely one of the first songs that, like, up to this point, it didn't click with me, but I 100% know that I've heard some early 2000s stuff that sounds a lot like this, and I love it. And this was what made me, in retrospect, go back and I was like, oh yeah, that's where the influences are. But right. Yeah, it's neat that this is one of the longer tracks, and I think a lot of that comes from, there's a lot of sustained notes in the song, I guess, because that's kind of the point. Because normally through all the songs up to this point, she was like kind of,
she's very like, not curt, but she's like shorter on her holdouts and stuff, right?
Yeah, and like each like kind of each syllable was kind of like its own note in a word, I guess. But then here she's kind of like drawing them out a little bit more.
Oh, it's this very, very drawn out vocals.
And yeah, it would have sucked if like they would have ended this song like a little too early or something by cutting out some stuff, because it really needed the breathing room, and they did well with it.
Yeah, dude. Even the I mean, you know, I keep saying it every time I mention it, but obviously, as stated, the song is about most likely another relationship. Or even, you know, it might not be. It might not be about a relationship, but it's got that context, that pre-context with it. From the postcard now, it's like that's all I can think of. But it doesn't really like give one, kind of, really.
I'm kind of at a loss reading these lyrics. I don't know necessarily what.
It sounds like it's definitely like an inner struggle about who they are, like who the person singing is. Because like, especially with the open line, I lost myself in a picture of someone else. So it's like, does that mean, you know, if it does have to do with a relationship, does that mean that the person, the narrator of the song, saw themselves in a partner, or they were like, is it more like it's supposed to be taken more literally, where it's like they saw this picture of somebody and they, you know, they lost their mind, they're like this person, you know, is so whatever, you know, that kind of view on it, or I don't know. It's just a really, I mean, theme wise, I can't figure it out really, unless I'm just trying to overanalyze it, and it is really just a simple little relationship. You know, I guess simple is not a really good word, but it is just, you know, another relationship song. But I might be looking too much into it.
No, there's a lot of very clear symbolism that you would probably need a tiny bit more context for this song.
And I mean, that's fine too. Is you don't need context for everything, I think, to enjoy music, you know.
And like we don't know exactly what she means, but honestly, like the vibe of the song gets across.
I think the ambiguity and like the vibe of the song is good enough to definitely carry that feeling. So, yeah, that's one of my personal favorites on the album. The guitars are very. I like the guitar sound on it too. It's very sounds early 70s kind of sounding guitars. So that's a really nice, a really good choice of tone for that song, I think.
Yeah. And it's songs like that, and maybe like the intros for some of the previous ones that we talked about so far, that like I mentioned before, that maybe on songs like Queen of New York and stuff, the kind of softer guitar tone I wish like choruses were a little bit punchier. But stuff like this, like if for any of the soft moments, like the tone is perfect, hands down.
With you, my kingdom melts. One last late night motel. I tried feeling nothing, and it just felt like nothing. You're something else. You're something else. Can't help myself.
So the next song now is the last song of side A. So we'll probably take a short little break after discussing this song and then come back and discuss the final 5 tracks. Because I actually, the way they split this album, I know you haven't heard it on vinyl, so you don't really know where the split is, but the split is right after something else. Okay. And it's really interesting because I feel like each side to this LP can be played as its own album. Like I think you can get 2 different album feels almost out of Underwear through Rowing as you do with song 1 through Something Else. And that's just a really interesting thing I recommend trying at some point, making like make a playlist out of the first 6 songs and then another one out of the last 5, then listening to them, because I personally I think it that they split it in a way that it feels like you can flip the album over and be like, I want to listen just to this. This is an album. This is good.
Yeah.
So
you said that you have some things to say about this song, I want to say, right? Or was that reviews?
That was reviews. Yeah, I'll talk more about reviews when we get to reviews.
Well, I think you mentioned right away there's a little bit more distortion on the instruments for this song.
This is I got more of like a surf rock vibe out of this song, honestly.
Mm-hmm. But you did mention, I think, that on top of the distortion, there is a vocal effect that she uses throughout on this one. Did you say that you like? What was your opinion on that?
She's got a little bit of delay on her voice, which is It's a nice change from the rest of the album, because the rest of the album, her voice almost sounds like it almost has like no effects on it, mm-hmm. which is really good because she has a really good singing voice. But then this song randomly has like, I guess it's not really random, because obviously there's reverb and delay on almost every recorded vocal track ever.
Yeah.
But this one has like a noticeable delay on it and the noticeable reverb, and you can tell when it drops, because at about, what was it? I just heard it. It's at like I want to say like 50-ish seconds. They straight up drop the effects from or no, it's earlier. It's like 30 seconds. Like 30 seconds in, they straight up drop all the vocal effects, and you just hear her say, "It felt like nothing." And
I think that was a nice emphasis on what she was saying there. Then
that's what I'm saying is like you can tell the difference. Mm-hmm. So it's like I think the rest of the album doesn't have a lot of vocal effects on it, or I thought it didn't, and then that actually just like almost confirmed it pretty much, because it's like when it drops for her when the effects all drop and everything drops out, so she can say, and it just felt like nothing. Mm-hmm. It really sounded similar to the rest of the album.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to describe it. Would like slightly more grungy be appropriate to kind of describe like
the vocal style, like with the delay and the reverb?
Yeah, and then like the distortion on like the guitar and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Like it kind of feels like grunge. Some of the guitar, like I was just kind of thinking, just like obviously you would go like to Nirvana or something.
This song was actually the most recent single too. It was the last single they put out before actually releasing the album. Mm-hmm. At track 6. Yeah, it's about it's another relationship song.
Well, we could probably just say for like the whole album's about relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I already said it before. It's just nice to touch on it because I don't think that at least one more of these songs is not about relationships. I'm pretty sure Reviews is not about relationships.
Nah, man.
I'm pretty sure that song has nothing to do with relationships.
You don't write reviews about your relationships.
I also
post them online.
I also have not really looked at the lyrics for that song yet, but I do know a lot of them. So I'm not sure 100%, but I'm almost positive that's like the one song not about relationships. But yeah, I think this is it's a really good end to side A when you're playing because it just ends on her repeating the line, "You're something else, you're something else, you're something else."
Yeah, in terms of maybe like heavier, like being, for whatever my definition of like being a jam would be, I think I kind of like this one a little bit more than like Queen of New York.
Definitely a jammier track.
Yeah. So,
okay, that's the first 6 songs of Tancred's new album, Nightstand. We're gonna take a short little break here, and we will be right back to talk about the last 5 songs. So, hang around.
Bye.
Me too.
Hashtag me too.
Man, shut up. Man,
I was raped.
Man, shut up.
Cut that.
B-roll.
Cut that right
B-roll.
now. Shit.
B-roll. Okay, so now do you want me to bring us back in too? Like we're just doing a regular show, or do you want to do the bring back ins?
I can do it.
Okay, up to you. I don't care.
Well, welcome back to the Sound Good podcast. We were talking about the relatively new Tancred album called Nightstand. We just finished talking about side A of the vinyl LP, and we're moving on to side B, which is the last 5 songs of the 11-track album. The first song we're going to talk about from that side is called Underwear.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way that you kind of felt earlier about Hot Star, I would maybe feel like that for the majority of this personally. I really, really enjoyed the intro of it, but once it kind of got into the chorus, I don't know if I felt it. What did you think about it?
I dig the song a lot, actually. Before I decided that Clipping was my favorite song, or Apple Tree Girl, whatever, man, they're both my favorite song. Before I decided that, I thought Underwear was going to be my favorite song. Just because, contrary to what you said, I love the chorus. I love how simple it is, and I love how catchy it is. The she's been pulling my strings, kissed a demon, no one swings like she swings. It's such a very, like, it's 2 different, what is it, 4 different phrases? That's all it is, just 4 different lines, two different sentences. But it conveys the entire feeling of the song in that one, like, those tiny little choruses.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's just one of those things where I'll acknowledge, like, it's objectively constructed great, and yeah, the lyrics, I actually do love those. And so what I was talking about earlier, like, I really love the melody of the intro, and then I really love the kind of, you know, she was trying to get like a story across in that intro of the song. And so there's that part where they say, you know, remember when we were in the halls at 5 a.m. in our underwear running from ghosts and stuff like that. She kind of rushed it was kind of more spoken word and kind of rushed it to fit within the phrasing. I thought that was really cool.
I really liked that little touch. Oh yeah.
But just for whatever reason, like, the kind of, I don't know what you would call it, like what terminology you would use, but like just the kind of melody that the rest of the song is after that, like the she's been pulling my strings and kissed a demon. Like, I don't know, it just didn't hit my ears and like make like latch onto me the way some other songs did.
You liked the more hurried kind of sense of the song rather than the relaxed little kind of given up almost quality of the chorus.
Yeah, and they do contrast, like, they are pretty different parts.
Oh yeah, no, completely.
Yeah, big time.
And
I kind of wish the whole song would have been, I just kind of wish the whole song would have been like what the intro was.
Personally. I feel it. Yeah, no, I definitely think that would have been a cool song. I feel like Just You kind of gets that fold for you though, because I think Just You is kind of like that track, the next track, which, I mean, we can go into that if you don't have anything else to talk about this one, because all I'm going to be doing pretty much is comparing to Just You.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the song, I mean, it is also just a pretty straightforward song, too.
I think the juxtaposition between the first verse and then the chorus and then, like, the really minimal feeling second verse, I think it's, like, it feels like, it makes me feel like the song is going through, like, the mentality of somebody who's just giving up. Because, you know, it's like,
I can see that.
Because it starts off really enthusiastic, and then it gets into that, like a collector, you line up your toys, but like a child, you cry when they break. And then that's when it goes into the she's been pulled, you know, the chorus and all that.
Yep.
So I think, I think like the chorus is like signify the point, like, okay, I'm giving up here, you know, whatever.
She's in control.
No, not even. Yeah, she's in control.
Well, pulling my strings, literally.
And
yeah.
Especially with like the verse, like the very minimal verse afterwards. I'll feed the hand that bites me. I can't live.
I was gonna say, I love that line.
Yeah, like the song feels like the chorus feels kind of lazy because, like, I mean, it feels lazy to me. I'm not saying that's what you were saying. It feels lazy to me. But I think it works because by feeling lazy, it conveys this feeling of giving up and letting this other person, you know, control you. This other person pulling your strings and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, and in general, I kind of really detest when you have a song that goes like a really strong verse, hits a chorus, but then like the second verse is like a quarter of the length of the first verse and it just goes right back into chorus. Yeah. But like if you argue that it's on purpose to kind of symbolize like kind of giving up, I would,
which mostly I wouldn't argue that, but I think this is like the one situation where I would argue that, honestly.
Yeah, I would honestly accept it at that point, because on first listen and everything, like it didn't stick out to me. Like I heard that and I went, oh, this is doing the shortened second verse thing that I hate. Like I never noticed that, but like looking at the lyrics, it kind of does. But no, if that's the intent, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, if it's the intent, like that's, you know, really good intent.
It's really smart.
But like if
honestly.
It's not the intent, well then I read too much into it because I like it too much.
And maybe it is maybe a little lazy.
Yeah, then maybe it is a little lazy. But I mean, I don't know. It just seems like, especially with given the content and the overarching context of the album, it definitely feels like that to me. So I mean, that's just me personally. So I don't know. I think it's a good track. I think it's no, it's not my favorite of this second half. But it's probably my second favorite though. I would say it's my second favorite song of side B. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm already fighting me, then I'm losing.
Alright, I will let you do most of the talking about this one because you've told me that this is your favorite track, and I actually do not like this track that much. So
Really?
Yeah, and it's not that I think it's a bad song, as I've said before, because I don't. I don't skip it. It's just I don't. It's a good lull in the album. You know, I don't know if that's gonna sound like, if that's gonna be enunciated as good enough, but like it's a good quiet point in the album because the whole song is pretty tame.
Yeah,
for the most part, compared to like everything around it. Or maybe I think I'm thinking of Strawberry Selfish, because this song.
I think you're thinking of Strawberry Selfish.
Yeah, I definitely am, because this song is the one that kind of gets.
Because this song's beautiful to me. I love it. We've talked about, obviously, that the essence of this album is like kind of human interaction and specifically romance and everything. And I mean, the title being Just You, it's clear that that's also the intent here. And like, this is just through and through a really cool love song. She uses things in the chorus by saying, I'm Romeo dumb and you're Juliet blue. I'm not super sure what that means, but
I'm
making
really,
a Romeo and Juliet
I'm not sure
comparison in general.
I'm not sure on the Romeo dumb and Juliet blue thing either, but like, yeah,
but
I
it
definitely
stands out.
Yeah, that's. I was actually about
what?
to say that too. I was about to mention that line because that is probably one of my favorite lines in the song.
Despite not knowing what she means.
Yeah, despite not understanding what she means by it, but it is one of those standout lines. Maybe it's just because she says Romeo and Juliet, but I mean,
yeah,
I get it. Like I don't understand the wording, but I understand the meaning that it was supposed to convey. I think. Like I feel like I understand the meaning, but I don't know.
And I think that she does. Maybe this is like if I was saying that this is a song that's like kind of a love song or like dedicated. Like it's. I think that just does really well with writing ballads, I want to say.
Yeah.
But like mellow ballads, because a ballad's just a song that's dedicated to somebody or something.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way that this song's super mellow, and like there's a lot of, even though it's already mellow, there's a lot of lulls where it gets like super quiet, and she does these really nice kind of lower volume
kind of like the
higher register,
like the chorus and Just You.
No, it's actually super interesting. So reading the lyrics now, I'm wondering if this is, it kind of seems like there's a childhood crush or something that she's been singing about through a lot of these songs, maybe, because she talks about like being in love like as kids, a lot.
Yeah.
And saying, so there's a Romeo and Juliet, which is obviously love, but then she's also saying a lot of stuff like, I'm a kid and I can't grow up. I don't know now. Never mind. I don't know what point. Well, because saying I can't grow up, and then there's also the Romeo and Juliet extension where she says, every time we touch, we both die young.
Yeah.
The death thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna, in my brain, I was thinking like dying young means growing up, but if she's saying she can't grow up, I don't know what.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's like the I can't grow up is like a nod to the maturity level in the relationship or something. Maybe it's like one of those things where it's like the person in the relationship was like so much more mature than she was at the time or something, or so she felt like a kid and she couldn't grow up because yada yada.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of self-esteem things going on, because there are a lot of songs where it seems like she's kind of holding the other person being sung about to a higher regard.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of one of those things that happens.
But like, yeah, so then like some of the final lyrics are where it's, I know my heart is hard to know, but you're the only one who does.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's like and this happens a lot in real life. Like you always perceive that the other person's either like more grown up or just feel like you're the one messing up.
It's that rose tinted glasses thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a kid in love with you. I'm Romeo Diamond, you're Juliet Blue. I'm a kid, I can't grow up, 'cause every time we touch, we both die.
Okay, and next up is Strawberry Selfish.
I don't remember this one that much.
Yep, that's exactly my problem.
Okay. It has an interesting effect on the guitars. I'll say that.
Yeah, it has a little
like a phaser. No.
Tremolo. It's a little tremolo effect. Yeah.
Okay.
Or vibrato, whatever it is. I think I don't know. It's that one where it's kind of just wobbly. It's warbly. Yeah, I don't know. The song, like,
this one's very alternative feeling, I would say.
I don't know what the song's about, man.
It's like dark and just wow, yeah, I can't even really think of a ton of descriptors. It's a very unique song, but at the same time,
Oh, and then she's got the lines, remember you at 14, somehow older and lovely, strawberry selfish, bitter and sweet. I just don't know. I don't know what strawberry selfish means. Like, seriously, that's what I'm most caught on. I don't understand the title and the use in the lyrics. I really wish I did, because I feel like I would be able to appreciate the song more. But as it stands, I'm too stuck thinking about what Strawberry Selfish is supposed to mean, and the lyrics don't really give me a good understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But now I also don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be focusing on, or...
And I don't know, it's interesting looking at the lyrics now too. There's just the continued trend that I was talking about earlier, where she's saying, I've been a monster, madman, villain,
Yep.
but you've been a friend. Like, there's just more of the
rose-tinted
kind of
glasses.
holding, just roasting yourself
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
which, everybody does that in their own head.
Oh, yeah.
Very relatable. But, yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird... It's such a weird pull
I think
for me to
this
compare to.
I think this is one of those songs that that in that foreword she was saying it just felt like a collection of odds and ends. I think this is one of those songs. I think this is just a song.
It's a lot harder to digest.
I just think this song, over like with the 2 weeks I've had to listen to this album, I think it just... I think it just, out of all the songs, this one feels the most, out of place, trinket, odds and end feel.
Yeah, like you look at everything, and this one like kind of sits there, and you're like, what?
Like it's probably got a lot of meaning to her, but I have no idea. I have no idea what it's aiming at.
Yeah, and I can respect that.
Yeah, because
it's like,
I always personally believe people should make music for themselves, and then if they get fans, they get fans. Whatever.
Yeah, and like in terms of the odds and ends thing you were talking about, like it really is the kind of thing where like you see this and you're like, what is the story behind this?
Okay, this is definitely an odd and end. Okay,
Excuse me?
You got anything else to say about this song? I don't.
You reach into me, pull me from the trench. I can see you smile there where the sun.
Let's talk about reviews.
I like it.
I
like it a lot.
Love the song. I cannot get past... It's not that I can't get past it. I don't like the way the vocals are mixed in the beginning when it's just the guitar and her voice. I don't know. It's something where it sounds like the vocals were recorded in a closed closet.
Okay.
It sounds like they set up Jess in a closet with wooden doors, fold out doors.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like clothes on the floor, and there's clothes hanging up in the closet, and it sounds like they recorded those vocals with a microphone on the other side of the shirts that are hanging up, and she's standing there like in the closed closet, like speaking through the shirts. It's a very small nitpicky thing, because it actually goes away once the rest of the band comes in.
Yeah. Once
the rest of the music and everything else comes in, that problem is gone. But man, does that intro, like, it's a good intro too, and that's why it bothers me. It wouldn't bother me so much if the intro was just whatever, if it was a whatever intro, if it was, just a standard intro, it wouldn't bother me that much. It'd be, okay, whatever, this just, sounds a little weird as an intro. But the fact that you've got the main, it takes highs and lows, like all that stuff, like, you've got this really, really good verse, and then I
was gonna say, I really, really love the vocal melody that she was doing.
It's got a really good melody and a really good verse, and then it's just ruined by the closet-sounding recording.
In music, is it ever possible for any band to ever write music where they use the words high and low in the lyrics and they don't sing them high and low ever? I've never heard anyone ever do that.
You know what? I don't think I have either. I think every time they say high and low, it's always got to be a high note and a low note. That's really weird. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
I don't know. That's always been in the back of my brain, and just now that we're like in a setting where we're talking about music and it happened, I thought I'd bring it up.
But yeah,
and that's like a thing that she's done throughout the entire album, where like just from word to word, sometimes she'll just drastically change like the pitch, and like it always works. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really good at that.
But yeah, no, I could see that. I think it was maybe some kind of artistic choice that they chose to make, because once the drums come in too, those are pretty heavily compressed. And I was talking about this way at the start.
Drums like are very compressed at the beginning of the song.
The compressed drums sound a lot like this old like mid 2000 song 2 that I was talking about. And I think they put a really light compression, or maybe just a noticeable compression, onto her vocals too.
It almost might be too much compression. Just like,
I liked it.
I mean, it's just like I said, it goes away once the whole band comes in. So it very well. I mean, it does sound like a compression issue. It just sounds like it's too muffled, and
sure,
it's to an average listener, you might not hear it at first, but like, I don't know. I listen to a lot of music. I make music, I know what a bad recording sounds like, because that's all I make. So it's like, when I can hear the compression issue or like the EQ issue, it really takes me out of the song for a second. I have to like readjust and get past it and be like, okay, the rest of the song, here's the rest of the song. But no, I do love this song. This was actually Reviews, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, was actually the first song that was released off of this album, and it's one of the last 2 on the album. This is also another one of those songs that I don't think it's about a person. I think it's more about there's no. So I'm blind. I am blind, but for pictures of you. So I mean, it must be about a person, but I mean, I don't know. It's also one of those things. It sounds like it's one of those things where it's not about a person who's alive.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, there's a lot of talk of possibly a person who's passed away.
Yeah, it's what it...
Which, at that point, I don't know what the word reviews means.
Yeah, I don't know. It's another one of those ones. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
This is a successfully abstract album at times.
Yeah. Well, there's a line where they say they always tell you don't read the reviews, so I am blind but for pictures of you. So reviews, the title is obviously just a reference to the lyrics, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just one of those scenarios where they just named it off of something in the lyrics. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
And so I'm wondering if it means like, if she means like feedback to your music. Because people absolutely do. If you make anything, just like we will with this podcast, just never read the reviews. Just don't. Ever.
Yeah, right.
Just fuck them. And
yeah, you guys can leave comments. We won't read them, maybe.
Like, subscribe.
Yeah,
and
just remember, like, subscribe. We didn't make that joke in the first episode, did we?
No.
Damn it. Okay, anyway, go on.
But yeah, but when then there's the line right after saying don't read the reviews, when she says, so I am blind but for pictures of you, like you said. I don't know what that means.
I feel like, okay, in that sense, now that I think about it, it could be somebody, she's applying the rule of don't read the reviews from media to a person. So it's basically like, don't listen to what these other people say about your partner. Focus on them, on what you think of them. Is, I think, what it's kind of going at.
Okay, I can see that.
That's what I get.
Yeah, so saying, so I am blind but for pictures, like,
yes. So
it sounds like she's saying, so
yeah,
I'll take that advice and I'll be blind to that and I'll just focus on you.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I get
cool.
from the lines then. But see, then it's also got to be like we said, it sounds like it's about someone who's passed away or something, because of the when I went to your grave, snow covered half your name, all that. Surprisingly upbeat sounding song though.
Yeah, it was, and also in that sense, I was going to comment on how this is another song. I think the last time, this is appropriate since it's the second to last song. When you went from the opening track, song 1, to Queen of New York, like, they were so different, and like, I don't know if it's intentional, but like this song, when you listen to the intro, it's like, that compressed stuff, and once you get into the chorus, it actually has like a pretty melodical shift, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
sort of. And like, yeah, like you said, it's pretty upbeat, and I was wondering like if it's like supposed to come full circle, that like you have like kind of I don't think it's that drastic, so probably not, but
Yeah.
because song 1, the Queen of New York, is just like, oh.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge contrast.
But yeah, this is another instance where it's like, I mean, you're singing about graves and highs and lows and everything, and it's like just kind of darker subject matter, but it's
do you actually
presented
have the lyrics
in
in
a
front
brighter
of you
way.
right now?
Yeah.
So if you scroll down and look to the, or I'm assuming you're scrolling, I don't know. If you look just below that in that next verse, so that everything is fine. See that last
Yeah.
line, how it says, "Feels like this song don't mean a thing."
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this song actually.
I was gonna
means
comment on
nothing.
that.
Yeah, maybe this song is just another one of those knickknacks, like I feel "Strawberry Selfish" is. Maybe these last 3 songs are just knickknacks. Maybe they have nothing to do
just
with
like
anything.
And I can respect that, because like there are a lot of times where you're just like you're just airing shit out, and then in the end you're just like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if I really mean anything. I just had to get that out.
Hey,
And I mean, honestly, and when you're a music artist, that can be very helpful for you, and just also produce pretty cool music.
yeah, totally.
It's like, I don't know if that meant anything, but
Pay the girl, tell her, give me a hairdo. Paint my lips in shimmer and French blue. They always tell you don't read the reviews, so I am blind but for pictures of you.
Last song is called "Rowing," and I actually really like this song too. This is the song that whenever it comes on, when I'm listening to this album back to back, when this song comes on, I'm always hyped. I get so excited for this song, just because I think the chorus is my favorite part of this song. Like, Jess is a really good chorus writer. I can't tell you how many Tancred choruses I can just pull out of thin air. But like, I don't think I could recite a single verse fully without screwing up a word, but I can sing so many of these choruses to myself without screwing them up.
yeah, I absolutely agree. Like the chorus in this song, like in particular, is extremely strong.
Yeah.
And
With the world is pretty when I'm up high, all the ugly things, that whole part's the little chorus there, right? Do you think that's I think that's
yeah,
the
and
chorus.
this is, I would say that the song, relative to the complaints that I maybe had with like some of the guitar tones before, like I think the chorus here hits his heart, like hits a satisfying amount with, I don't know, just what I would want from a song, and it's a super strong closer for the album. And I was as we are,
I think real quick, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but while it's on my mind before I forget, I think my favorite part of the song actually, aside from the chorus, is after the first chorus, when there's that little like accordion kind of break where she says the street musicians played in time with each other.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, oh my god, that is so cool. Just that little, every instrument drops and you just hear a little almost like Italian sounding accordion, and then it just goes right back into it.
You know, and I'm
it's
wondering
so
if that is like kind of a throw, like, or like a reference to, like, because the fact that she's talking about a street performer, right? Maybe.
Yeah. That's what I assume.
Yeah, no, and that's another one of those instances. So when you were talking about the orchestration, like, yeah, they use so many good samples of, or I don't, maybe they're not samples, I don't know, just background instruments that aren't your standard rock instruments that are, they just utilize them really well.
It's a good composition choice.
Yeah, I really love the choices on that front. And as we were, you know, because I didn't remember this song a ton just because it's towards the end of the album, and like I said, I only had like 17 hours or so to get through this. I only like, looking at my plays, I have the fewest plays on this song, probably just because like I got to where I was going when by the time I hit the second to last song.
Right.
Right. I totally forgot that, like, so knowing that, so there were session performers that they got for the studio, but
did you look into
no,
that
just
then?
we were talking about that, but for sure I would say that Jess was the guitarist for all of this, obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely.
we should probably at least take a moment to talk about like how good, like there were a lot of like unexpected solos that stood out. Like, wow, that was actually really impressive. But
there's now that
yeah.
you mention that, there is like one song that I wish had like a way better solo, and if I'm remembering it correctly, it might be was it Hot Star? I can't remember what it was, but there was one song. It might have been Queen of New York too. But there was one part where they did like a little drop and then it went into a guitar solo, and I wanted it to be like this really like I wanted it to be shreddy, like, you know, not really like too like shreddy, but I wanted it to be, you know, more melodic than it was. I was really bummed about that. So, but I know she could do something like that, so it must have just been a stylistic choice.
Yeah, I don't think it was Queen of New York because there's no drop between the chorus, like the last chorus and the solo. But yeah, no, looking back, like I think I was a little too distracted by talking about how I wasn't feeling the impact of the chorus for Queen of New York as much. But no, that was when it was that song at the very least that the solo stood out heavily, and I was just like, oh, I did not expect that.
That solo
for this
was really good.
Type of music.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that solo was really good. It was from I can't remember what song it was, but there was another song where it had a little miniature volume drop before they came in with another solo, and I was just like, this solo is so simple. Why could you do something cooler? Like it was so cool in Queen of New York.
Yeah, and so the point...
But I don't remember it taking anything away, though. I don't remember, like, not hearing one and being like, oh, this song sucks now. It was kind of like, oh, okay, they just went with that.
And, like, so the point that I was kind of getting through with that was just, like, I was impressed with how creative and different a lot of the choices... Like, there were a lot of subverted expectations for, like, what the guitar parts were a lot of the time, for me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And... Even though some of the song structures and like the chord progressions were familiar, there were interesting things done with the guitars, and I want to say that Rowing has some bits of that kind of feel.
Definitely, for sure.
Because there's a lot of melodic changes in Rowing, honestly.
Oh yeah, like especially with the balloons verse, like that out of nowhere. That always catches me off guard. Just. Because it gets really quiet, and then all of a sudden she just goes, balloons, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, we're not done.
Yeah, like I was saying, I hate when second verses are too short. I love it when you just go to like when your song structure goes like A, B, then like C instead, like just to a totally different type of verse or something. And that's what you're kind of saying, like the balloons part kind of is. Like it's just like kind of different instead of going back to the same thing.
I've said it before on Twitter. I think my favorite song, I think my favorite songwriting style is A B C B. I love it when the first and third lines don't rhyme, or even like the first and third sections of a song aren't the same, but then the second and fourth.
Yeah, and it's just like it feels like there's just more effort put in and.
Yeah, it feels like there's more going on.
It makes the song feel like, just from a structure standpoint, it feels like the song's bigger on its own. Yeah, it makes it feel longer and just,
it feels like there's more to it.
And you can remember that. You can divide it up better in your brain. Like, this is this part, this is this part. And because if the second and, like, the first and second verses are the same, you're just like, oh, well, they just have different lyrics,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's all I got on that song. So, you got anything else you want to say about it?
I don't think we didn't talk much about the lyrics at all.
I wasn't gonna say anything about them because it feels.
I just realized like
it feels like a knick-knack song. One of the.
Well, yeah, songs. I totally didn't it didn't click with my brain. It's called, I want to say that she took a trip to Italy and was very infatuated with it. Because one, the accordion, but it's called rowing. So you're on a boat.
So Are you sure Italy?
Somewhere.
Because the first line says haven't been awake since I left Holland. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's in Holland. I mean, I'm assuming the accordion's used everywhere.
No, it's probably Holland. My bad. I don't know, but I don't know. I just didn't know that there were canals in Holland, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you think canals, you think Italy.
It might have been a beach. You never know, man.
But yeah, just like it feels very European trip because hot air balloons, accordions, canals, you know. So that's
definitely.
So maybe this might be one of the only songs that's perhaps, or one of the other few songs that's not about a relationship. Maybe she took a trip.
Maybe it's about like a tour. Maybe it's from like I can't remember. Has Tancred toured the EU at all? I don't know. I haven't looked that up. I didn't even think about that, but that's a possibility, I guess. Unless they haven't toured the EU, in which case I'm an idiot. But yeah, no, I just think this is another one of those knick-knack songs. Little trinket odds and ends stuff. But I do love the song still, though.
Yeah, I mean, this
I absolutely love the song. It's a good
as opposed
ender.
to
it's a really good album.
Yeah, as opposed to like Hot Star or something, I would definitely go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could go for Rowing Again. You know.
Oh yeah, I like I said, I get excited when this song comes up because I love this song. It's really fun. I love driving to it. Honestly,
there's very strong. It's a very strong closing lines with just I play those jukebox songs and wait to die. That's
right. Right.
But
yeah, so
overall,
I don't know. What did you think of the album?
I think it sound good.
Really? It sounds good.
What do you mean?
Come on.
What? I'm just saying, man. I like the album. Dude.
Yeah, okay. No, I was really curious on what you would think of it, since this is like like you said earlier, it's your first time ever listening to him. It's your first time, not really your first time, but it's almost like your first time listening to this kind of music.
Well, like there were. I was saying, like there's a lot of familiar, like when I was comparing to like early 2000 stuff. Like I list, especially in terms of female fronted stuff. I would say maybe I just don't talk about it as much, but I do dabble here and there with this kind of vibe, I guess. But specifically what this is probably my first time, but
the Tancred style.
Yeah,
indie.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, I really liked it. I will definitely save this one.
Up through the window frame where we both discover canals. The scent of pastry carts hangs in the air. The children throw their coins into the riviera. A kiss can taste so sweet.
It's been a long time since an album has come out that I just have not stopped listening to for days on end. I think the last one I did that with was probably last year when Free Throw put that new album out, that Bury Your Mind. I think I listened to that album for like 4 days straight on repeat only.
That album's so good.
That's pretty good. But see, now we just agreed on it with no discussion, so no episode.
Go listen to Bury Your Mind. After you listen to Nightstand by Tancred.
Definitely after you listen to Nightstand by Tancred. So overall, what kind of score out of 10 would you give this album?
8.5.
8.5 out of 10?
Personal preference.
Yeah, okay.
I would argue objectively like 9.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 9 for sure. I think it's a pretty good album, of course.
Stuff like Hot Star brought it down a little bit, so objectively 9, but I would say 8.5 personally.
Yeah, totally. Cool. We'll put links to the Polyvinyl and Hand and Hive websites where you can find the vinyl for Nightstand by Tancred. I will try and remember to put a link in the description to maybe a picture of the little postcard if anyone's curious about seeing that. Other than that...
And you can find us on Twitter at It Sounds Good Pod. for the Sound Good podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So then,
Yeah.
I believe that would be it for this episode.
Thanks for listening.
So, yeah, thanks for checking us out.